Welcome to this awesome episode. I am excited to present you Miss Kathleen Crawford. Her resume is just absolutely incredible, and I have to read it because it's pretty extensive. But she started Miss K & Sons 10 years ago. She's going to share her story, how she started and where she's at today. She's currently the founder and CEO of Miss K. She's been managing PadSplit for over 4 years. Kat has over 1,000 units that she manages. That is no easy task to do. She does this with her family members, her daughter, her sons. Over 1,000 units, like that just blows my mind. You're not going to want to miss this episode. Welcome to the Coliving with PadSplit podcast, where we talk to successful PadSplit investors and have them share their secrets to success, not only in PadSplit, but in other facets of real estate. This podcast will help you expedite your learning to be a successful investor in the co-living space. We are your hosts, Ray and Oriana Nunez. Show us some love by subscribing and sharing so we can continue to bring on amazing guests. Kat, thank you for being here. Wow. How did you start at Miss K & Sons? Just kind of give us a little bit of a background on that, because it is a company with your family, right?
I actually started almost 10 years ago. I left a career. And I was tired of working for other people. So I literally bought a lawnmower and some equipment and put it in the back of a hatchback. And we started just cutting grass. And then people would say, you need little repairs, they need other things. At that time, we were pushing 2, 3, 4 acre yards just to get our names out there. And then it grew. We moved. When we came to Florida about 4 years ago, the work just wasn't like I expected it to be. There was a lot of competition. So I was working for a very small company that does maintenance repairs, and they sent me an order, and I looked at the order, and I read it, and I looked at Julie, and I said, well, we're not going to be doing a whole lot of this. This is the stupidest thing I've heard. And she was like, well, what is it? I says, we're going to go in a house where people live together, and we're going to go fix things. I'm like, who lives together like this? Because I'd never heard the phrase PadSplit. So I went into one of the smallest ones in Jacksonville, and I was like, well, this is cute. And someone came out and spoke to me, and I was like, so how long have you done this? And they started sharing details with me. And they're like, well, we just need this fixed. And it was like a connection, an instant, like I was like, wow, people really do this. So they gave me a few more orders. And before you knew it, it was like, I no longer was with a little company. I had gone direct with a contact for 2 keys and PadSplit that were looking for the vendor in Florida. And it just kept growing.
Wow.
And I loved it because I was making connections with the members and then the owners. And so I was always trying to find the middle ground. The owner has to make money. The investor's here for a reason.
Right.
So how do we take care of them, but give the members what they need? Because everybody's got to be happy if it's going to work. Of course.
Right. What is 2 keys? Because I don't believe our audience is aware of what 2 keys is.
So 2 keys is the only in-house or sister company to PadSplit. They were the first maintenance company that did the property management and the maintenance. When they first began, it really was just mostly a phone call center where they just would see what needed to be done and try to find someone. Now they are the largest property management company within PadSplit. They manage over 300 houses.
Wow. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's nuts.
And right now they're mainly focused in what areas?
Atlanta, they are growing. They were in Dallas. I think they're going to Kansas City. So they're definitely growing and want to go wherever PadSplit is as well. Just depends on the market in those areas.
Right. And Jacksonville as well.
And Jacksonville. Of course, they have Jacksonville and Tampa, a few other areas in Florida.
Florida.
Yeah.
That's right.
So 4 years ago, you worked with PadSplit. So I measure people's start date usually against mine because I started a little over 3 years ago. And I was the first rep that was in the state of Florida. So you predate me to where they had, I would say, a small amount of properties with very early on investors, mostly just a family office. Kudos to you for jumping onto a concept so early, and kudos to you to have that concept and manage that early on, because it's not what it is today.
Oh, no, it's so different. So when I started, actually, I think there wasn't even 20, I don't think, in the area. And honestly...
20 units.
Yeah. And then you and the both of you are the first private owner that I managed for, that I self-managed for.
Look at that.
So, you know, it really does go. It goes way back. So
That's awesome. Our relationship goes back.
yes.
And I think our early conversations were, hey, Kat, can you scale?
Yeah, and I was like, I don't know. I mean, we can. Let's see how far we go.
Right.
And you know, over the years, I've had people say, "Well, is there a number? Do you know where you'll stop?" And I'm like, "No. I mean, I'll just wake up one day and go, that's it. We're done." And I do actually. I have a lot of those days where it's just a week where we have so much going on and it's so chaotic that I get up and I'm like, okay, we're at the end of the road. We can't take any more. And then a phone call will come in or an email.
Can't say no.
Can't say no. I'm like, well, where's it at? Let us look at it. And then so we keep taking them. But we're trying to change a brand standard as well. So like, a couple of years ago, some of the houses were super nice and some of them were just very plain.
Yeah.
There's a lot of competition now.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not that I don't want to work for the plain ones, but it's that we're putting together a set of standards that if the house doesn't meet this minimal criteria, that we don't want to manage them.
You're not considering managing
Yeah,
those.
we want to make sure that the members are being taken care of and the investors are making their money.
And that balance is hard. So what does your day-to-day look like with over 1,000 units on average?
It's a lot. I'm usually at my desk by 6:30 in the morning, and sometimes it's 11, 12 o'clock before I'm done. I usually have 1 to 2 people in the office for at least 4 hours a day, and then everybody else in the field. So because we're a small family-owned company, there really is only 7 of us that manage all of it.
Impressive. So. Do you see a lot of like repairs, physical repairs that you find yourself doing daily?
We do. That's one of the things that I always like. You would think as the maintenance part, I would be like, no, don't fix it. We got it. But honestly, I love for investors to know to set your house up the right way. Because if you have repeated costs, that's going to make you not happy. If I have repeated return trips, it makes the members not happy. It makes our job a little harder. And I think that's the most important thing is if you set your house up the right way and repair the things that really need repaired, you're going to experience much less in cost. And while most business owners wouldn't say this, I am just as happy to invoice someone $300 for the month, because if I have to invoice them $1,000, it means that $700 came out someplace as well.
Of course.
So, yeah.
What does it look like for an investor to set up their house right, in your opinion, based on your experience?
Plumbing, HVAC, and electrical need to be right.
Damn, those are 3 of the 4 major foundations of a real estate property.
Absolutely.
You miss foundation. But it makes sense, obviously, because those are the ones that hurt.
It is. And if you have rooms that don't have proper ventilation or they're just not cool enough, put in a mini split.
Right.
Put in a wall unit. Like, I know those are expensive, but it's so much easier to look at it at day one and say, we need to put another $3,000 in now, because otherwise we're going to have the HVAC guy out there every week.
Right.
Or you're going to have members moving out because they're hot. It's Florida.
Florida.
Question for you. What have you noticed in the physical properties that were successful maybe 2 years ago versus what's kind of successful today in today's market? Like, has anything really shifted, or is there certain things that you're noticing that kind of was major differences?
Amenities. 2 years ago, I mean, like when I had first looked at Jill's house, I was like, oh, wow, like this is beautiful. Like, and I had some other owners that were like that, but it was not the ones I was primarily used to. They were just very basic. And so the basic ones, they're still getting bookings, but not like they were. And so there's a lot of competition. And now people are getting familiar with PadSplit, and they're understanding that I can do this for a year. I can do this for 2 years. I can save to buy my own house. And so they're picky. They want the amenities. They want a nice cloth shower curtain and a bathroom set, not the $1 one from Dollar General. TVs are 50-50. I see so many people that want them, but just as many that don't.
Because they might have their own.
They might have their own, but mini fridges, mirrors in the rooms, just things that we didn't used to see.
We didn't consider before.
Yes.
We should have never put mirrors and mini fridges in our rooms.
Yeah.
What do you mean we did?
We did, but it turned into a trend, damn it.
I think it kind of makes sense.
No, it makes sense.
Like the full-size mirror, if I'm sharing a room with someone, I still want to go and look at myself to see if my shoes are matching my outfit.
You mean a bathroom with someone, not a room.
Yes, that's what I meant to say.
I'm like, how you sharing a room?
I meant to say a bathroom. Like a full body mirror, no matter the gender, we want to know.
Absolutely. And it's not even just, you want to take your time. You want to fix your hair.
Correct.
You're in the bathroom and there's other people. So, I mean, in some cases, the other people are pushing you. But even if they're not, I want to take my time. So if I go in my room where I have a nice mirror.
That's right. Privacy. That's right.
Desks are huge.
Desks are super important. Because people don't just want to sit in the bed. Like they want to read, use their laptop, right? Maybe eat at their desk.
We see a lot of that. And I've noticed something. I know that PadSplit's never been keen on like living space, which, I mean, I get it. We wouldn't put a couch in one because surely it would be an issue. But we're starting to see more comfy chairs in bedrooms or even just in a small nook.
Like a lounge chair.
Yeah. Or if the kitchen is big enough or the dining area where you can put 2 chairs and a side table, it's just giving people an option to, if they're the socializing type, they're not standing in the hallway bothering other members, but they have a place to go and read or hang out. And in my opinion, I think that's great for their mental health because some people don't want to be bothered. Like, I'm going to my room to be left alone.
Right.
But there's other people and the members that get along. So if we're giving them some place, one of your houses has that bench out front. They're always just hanging out at the bench. Like, if you give them some place to just socialize, I think it helps their tenure as well.
And it builds community between them.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yep.
Because it's roommates. You want to have good roommates.
Yes.
You want to be social with your roommates. That makes a lot of sense. So I know that you keep saying the word competition. Do you feel like there's a lot of variety or just like authentically?
A lot of the same.
Yes. So
yeah, I think, there's only a few things I've seen that is different. And I've seen owners maybe taking more of an interest and some of them only own 1 or 2. So they can really, even with property management, they can really focus. There's an owner in Jacksonville for the 4th of July. He called me the night before and said, please let the house know I've been by and I've put food in the freezer and on the counter.
That's beautiful.
He delivered hot dogs, ribs, hamburgers, and all the sides for them to barbecue.
How was that reaction?
Oh, it was amazing. The members were like, are you kidding?
Super grateful.
Yeah, I wanted to go over and eat with them. I was like, really? What time? So, that's what we're seeing. And I think that's one of the things that the members they're eating it whole. That like, there's just there for people care. But we have to. I mean, this is affordable, safe living. It's helping people, get back on their feet or get whatever their future plan is. So there's many of them that by the time they pay their bills, there really isn't anything left over. And so they know that someone cares and wants them to have what they need. I think we're really doing good.
It makes a difference.
Yeah.
It really makes a difference. I know last year you took the initiative for Thanksgiving to create a meal for every single one of your members. And I started seeing that and I was like, Kat, please include me, whatever you need. Like, you definitely inspire that from us and share more about that.
So this will be the 3rd year. We are gearing up to do it again. I had talked to so many members like September, October, the first year. And as we got closer to the holiday, I'd say, oh, well, you going to have family? Are you doing something? And there was people that some just had to work. And some were like, well, I don't really have any family or I don't have the money to go any place. And I went home, and as I was just eating my regular dinner, it bothered me terribly. Like, usually Thanksgiving for me, my kids are all grown now, so we lay on the couch, watch TV, maybe go see a movie and enjoy the day. But it's not that I couldn't afford whatever I wanted to put on my table. And it bothered me how many people were not going to have a family or not going to have someplace to go and a good meal. So I talked to the family about it, and I'm like, listen, we can afford to eat a good meal. We're very blessed. I mean, we work hard for it, but we've been very blessed.
Right.
So it's time to give back. So the first year we made not quite 100 plates. Last year we made almost 300.
Wow.
So this year what we're doing.
It's all of your family.
Yeah, we just
your daughter, your sons, your in-laws, like everybody in the family. I saw photos of you getting down in the kitchen, preparing meals.
Yeah. It's, it's almost like, so just to share a quick story, like this past week, I've just been tired. Like I'm wore out and I'm tired.
Yeah,
and
it's a lot.
So I was like, I was almost going to let go this Thanksgiving meal because I was like, I'm tired. And Joey's been with me for 10 years. I claim him to be my son because he came home with my kids one day 12 years ago. So Joey's my right-hand number one guy. And he was talking because he makes the sweet potato casserole. And I said, I don't know. And he says, what do you mean you don't know? He said, you started this. He said,
we're doing this.
We're doing this. He was like, everybody's got their own part and we're going to do it. And like when he left, I was like, I don't know who he's talking to. And then I was like, no, he's right. I said, so I just need to take something off my plate to make room because it was so important to us. And the camaraderie, like when we go to the houses, we send out a message because we deliver all these plates. Last year, I was going to try to set up like an essential house and get people to pick them up. And then I thought about it, how many of them don't drive?
Right.
So if I tell you, well, you can eat if you can figure out how to come get it, I didn't help you. So we deliver them. So now we send a message to so many houses at a time. And the guys load up 2 or 3 houses at a time, go deliver them. By the time they come back, we've made boxes for the next 2 or 3.
Beautiful.
So a lot of the houses don't need them. So we try to determine which ones really do, either based on their economics or their family, maybe their students or older people, and so this year we're going to break it up. Whoever gets Thanksgiving will not get Christmas. And at Christmas time, we're just going to give out some handmade desserts and maybe some fresh fruits, something so that at least every member knows somebody was thinking of them.
That's beautiful. Kat, talking about members, well, thank you for doing that, first and foremost. Like, you touched a nerve with me last year. I was like, oh my God, that's so beautiful.
Surprise message from you that we got. And it was like, oh my God. And she was kind of thinking the same thing too. And it's like, okay, well then how can we contribute and help out in this? So,
well, I like to tell everyone, so any owner that sees this, we don't charge anybody, but it gets costly.
Yeah.
So any owner that wants to make, even if it's a $20 volunteer donation, it helps us.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We'll include that in the description.
Thank you.
Kat, give us a little bit more background on the the type of member, because investors are always so curious, even though we explain to them, these are workforce people. And I say often, anybody that could be potentially making under $50,000 a year, right? Which seems, that's normal. We're comfortable. No, the math is not mathing for these people. So what type of jobs do you see? What ages are you seeing more frequently booking these PadSplit rooms?
So it's kind of funny because I know they always tell me what the demographic says it is. But since I'm there every day, I know.
Yeah.
We see a fair amount of retired people or at the verge of retiring. I want to move to Florida, but wow, it's expensive when I got here.
Yeah.
My family's still in wherever, and I'm going to decide if I want to stay here. So they do it, and then they're like 3 years later in the same house. Well, yeah, I decided to stay. I loved it. A lot of blue-collar workers, that's definitely. And a lot of middle-aged people that are starting over. Maybe their kids are grown now, or they've just come out of a long-term relationship, and they don't know where to go, and they don't want to be all alone, but they don't really want roommates. So what's the next best solution? PadSplit.
Right.
So.
If I'm looking to work with you as property manager and I'm a newbie investor, there's PadSplit reps and then there's what you do. What help do you provide in your process and what do you not provide in your process? Maybe by omitting and not saying it, but what do you provide in the process to help some of these investors out as they're in their journey?
So pretty much whatever they need, because some investors, while they might be new to PadSplit, they have a really good idea of everything else. It's what do you need? Do you need me to do a coming soon post? Do you need me to do the final mile? I mean, because we do that too. We take them from contractors done, and then we furnish it, do everything you need, and the next thing is we have a listing live. So it's whatever you need because everyone is different.
Of course. Do you order the furniture?
We do. We can order it. We'll buy it, set it up. I have some.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everything. That's as a matter of fact, that's what Julie's doing today. She's getting one ready to go live. And because I work with a couple of contractors now in Jacksonville as well, like if this is your contractor, I'll communicate directly with them. We'll have everything ordered and ready. So if they call me at 9:00 Thursday night and say, all right, we're done, and at 6:00 Friday morning, the crew's in there building for you.
Love that. I mean, you've grown up. I remember the coming soon and doing the listing.
The last mile, I was like, I don't know. And now it's like, absolutely. Love it.
Well,
love that.
We've decided we really actually like that. I mean,
it's fun.
We love what we do. But
fun.
To see it from, because a lot of times we'll meet with the investor when they're first getting ready to do it. And to see, you look at the house, you're like, oh, wow. And then you go back and it's done.
Yes.
And we were a part of that. So, and then we like it because the members move in and they'll be like, oh, we really like this, or oh, it looks nice. I'm like, thank you. So, and it's a nice change. Yeah. So
there's a gap in the help process for investors, whether they know it or not. And that gap is you have a rep, they educate you on PadSplit, they connect you to some resources, but the realtor is going to sell you a house and that's it. And then the contractor is going to do contract work and that's it. And then the rep isn't going to build your bed.
Correct. Like you do have to do that setup for yourself.
And if you're not familiar with the setup, then at that point, then that might take longer than what it should. And so it's fantastic that at least the last mile process being guided by or having someone quarterback that for you will shorten your time to go live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So one of the things we've been trying to do, because we have been, more people reach out to us now, the reps are giving them, call us Kat. Even if you don't, and I'll tell somebody, I'll walk your house, even if you tell me I'm going to self-manage, I don't want you to manage, whatever, that's okay. I'll walk your house and I'll give you a baseline and I'll give you a list. You remember those baselines? I said, well, this is what we need to do. Mm-hmm. But then now. And then you decide what you want to do because everybody has different needs. But I still believe in the PadSplit thing as a whole, that there's just certain brand standards that should be in every house.
And I would say that those standards, like you keep mentioning, will bring two big pieces. Happy members, good tenures. Yep. And every investor is looking for that recipe.
Yes.
Or else you're going to find yourself in a bad place, not enough income, vacancies, all these things.
Yeah, there are some houses that definitely struggle with their occupancy. Yeah. And I can't help you with it if there's just not things that you want to do.
Yeah.
What are some of the things you think are lead-in attributes to that? Is it location? Is it amenities? Is it a combination? Like, what is it?
I think it's a combination. You think about a single family rental. Mm-hmm. Somebody might live there, let's say 2 to 4 years. Well, when they move out, in most cases, you're going to paint. You're going to freshen up the house. So in a PadSplit, the thing that I'd like investors and owners to remember is you have that many more people here. Mm-hmm. So you might need to paint a room once a year.
Yep.
Oh, we've had someone that's been here in 10 months. Let's paint the room.
Yeah.
Or maybe we got lucky and we've had 5 members in this past year, but let's paint the room.
Let's freshen up.
Same thing with common spaces is it's good money spent. I mean, I realize it's additional money, but the biggest thing we're seeing now is the move-in scores, the move-in ratings. People move in.
Wanted to get into that.
People move in and it's like the first impression. They pull up and the first thing, well, if the grass is not cut or their door is filthy, those are things that right out the gate is in their mind. Now they're opening the door and they're going in. Maybe the hallway's dark and dingy. They open their room. Like I say, if the room is 100% spot on, we can overcome the other things. Like this is shared living. A lot of people live here. They don't everybody's supposed to clean up behind themselves, but maybe they don't do so well. If your room is 100% and you go in there and you feel warm and cozy about it, you can probably get over whatever else you saw. Mm-hmm. But if we just take the time, when the front door needs to be painted, paint it. Mm-hmm. If you've got some old mulch out there, the hallways are dingy, like just put a little into it, because that's the biggest thing is people move in and then they feel like they're in the right space.
Right. Do you walk properties with investors after the fact, or do you send photos, or do you give them a list of like, hey guys, I just walked your home and do you know these are some suggestions?
Yes. So if we do a baseline and you're with us, we'll talk about everything as we're walking, and then we'll just send you the email. If you don't live locally, we'll do a FaceTime if you want, or we'll send you the videos. And then if we've done the work for you, the same thing. We'll send you the videos and the photos from the photographer as well as whatever we're taking, so that you have a good idea of what you're looking at.
Yeah, I love that. You were gonna say you were
heading
heading into something.
No, the scores. So I know when the new score system that PadSplit's kind of working out came out, as people who educate investors, we pivoted and we made adjustments. But you're a person that operationally runs PadSplits for people. What was your change? Did your operation change with those different score changes? And if so,
yeah, a little bit, because we're really I'm fanatical about the rooms in the first place, because that's again my theory. If the rest of the house is E, I can't help what 8 other people did. But if your room is E, then I can control what that one person didn't do. But in addition, we've started actually we reach out to people. So, we always vet the people. Even though PadSplit approved them, we vet them as well. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they don't know things, or they give us information that we're like, oh, no. But then we say, here's my number. So after you're moving, you only use this number for an emergency. But the day you move in, if you have any issues, it's not what you thought it would be, maybe the code's giving you trouble, whatever you need, call us directly, because while we're really responsive, we don't want you standing outside a door if the code doesn't work.
of course,
We don't want you being frustrated. So you pick the phone up and we're going to get you in. And then when they get moved in, we ask them, how did it go? Did you like it? Is there something you'd like to see different? And then we ask them, if you're happy with what you found, would you please give us a good review? Give the house a good review. You had a smooth move in. And we're getting huge success with that, because the ones that may have even honestly had problems, the fact that they know they can pick up a phone and there's a live person on the other end of it. And move-in hours. That's a huge thing that in the beginning was very defined, like this time to this time. Now they want to move in at all times. But when we're vetting people, we just tell them, do you know what time you plan on moving in? Because after 6 o'clock, we don't guarantee someone's in front of the computer. But if you tell me what time you're going to move in, I'll give you the number of the person that's on call, whichever one of my team is taking calls that night, to make sure we're available. And, it's helping. It makes a difference. And so even if someone has a problem, they're happy to put a good review because there's somebody there to answer them.
Love that. I love making sure that, they liked it, customer satisfaction, member satisfaction, then checking up on them. It still boggles my mind that you're operationally sound and you have there's a mosquito in here. It's literally got me preoccupied. But anyway, how you're functioning operationally and doing so much. So growth, you're expanding your hiring?
We're going to be, yes. I actually finally have taken a bunch of everybody's information and we're getting a virtual assistant.
Love it.
Maybe 2. Just so that I can get some hours covered a day that give the rest of us a few hours off.
Of course.
And then, we're always looking we've started outsourcing some grass cuts. That was a learning curve. I've been through 3 companies before I found one that I like, because I want the yard to look like it's my yard. I don't care what issues you run into. And so we finally found a really good grass cut team that we're happy with. And we found some good cleaners. And so we're still keeping most of it in-house, but we've just found some really good referrals that their pricing are competitive and they're doing a good job.
Right. Kat, let's talk about cleanliness. This is a big ticket item for investors as well.
That's a score.
Correct. That's also part of the member score. But let's talk about that. Good practices, bad practices. What do you see on a daily basis? Is that
Yeah, we get that question. How do you keep a PadSplit common area clean?
I'll tell you most frequent questions regarding a newer investor is cleanliness and conflict between members. Like those are, I would say, the biggest ones.
But the conflict one, we have questions later.
Yeah, I know.
But the cleanliness, we'll stick to cleanliness.
But truly, let's discuss cleanliness.
It's hard.
Yeah.
You've got to, I say it's hard. I'm going to say maybe 25% of our houses, they do a better job cleaning theirs than I do mine.
Mm-hmm.
They take really good care of them. And when
they like the members.
The members. And we'll go and there's usually, there's 2 or 3 that are there, like, for lack of a better term, I'm going to say nitpickety, but they're not nitpickety. They're just clean. And so they will ride everybody else. And if there's a problem, I will hear it. That new person you put in room 4 doesn't know how to wipe his feet at the front door. What are you going to do about it? And then I'm like, could you send a message within the house chat because I can't be there every day. But when you have those houses, it's great. And that's something new that Two Keys is looking at. And we're working on it privately as well, is we need house leaders.
Mm-hmm. Creating a house leader.
We really need somebody in each house that we feel like we can trust, that follows the communication, introduces the new members, shows them the rules, and just make sure that everybody's working together. So, because the cleanliness is that, and the disputes are definitely the 2 biggest things that we deal with every day.
How do you ideally manage that the best possible way? Because it's human nature. That alone is impossible to, control. But like, what are the best practices in order to maintain a good PadSplit clean? Or how do you manage it with members?
Luck.
Provide less things. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Just joking.
More cleaning things. Actually, we've been starting something in addition to the house leaders. Is I'll have one person that'll usually reach out in a house like, well, it's not really clean. Okay, tell me who it is. And so we've been sending a lot of messages. Something in the coming soon is we're going to start fining members. Like we're just going to, it's not fair to expect an investor, the owner, to have to clean your house 3 or 4 times a week or a month because you don't want to. And it's not fair to the other 4 members that are willing to clean. And sometimes that's really what it takes. I'll send a message or a picture of the house and say, we just walked by and this is not acceptable. And if we have to send another cleaning crew, then there's going to be a charge back to the members. And that's great because one of those rooms is going to tell you instantly who it is. Mm-hmm. And then we just communicate with them directly. And in some cases, you can tell they're honestly, maybe they were married, they were in a relationship, this is their first place on their own. Because some of them are like really surprised. Well, I just left my dishes there for a few days. I'm like, what'd you just say? Well, a few days, it wasn't bothering anyone. Okay, but there's 8 of you there. So if 8 people left 2 dishes for a few days, what does the sink look like? Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when you bring that to their attention, they're actually like, oh, I didn't think about that. So, and we're recommending nowadays color-coded plates.
Oh, I've been saying this for forever.
Yeah, we do color-coded plates now, and we put them in your room when you move in. Mm-hmm. So if there's blue plates in the sink, I can just look up which room it's supposed to be and bring them to you.
These are your plates.
No, absolutely. I've suggested this for such a long time because it just adds structure to the members. And when you add more structure, they're within the boundaries, right? If you don't have anything and you don't provide guidance, they will interpret the rules the way that they want to.
Yes, and that's something I don't think the rules, like from PadSplit. I've actually read the entire lease. Mm-hmm. I see it, the member agreement.
Right.
And everything is in there, but it's not like 1 through 10, this is what we need you to do. Mm. So something else that we've been doing is a lot of times we'll put a whiteboard in a house and tell the members, put a note up here. Mm-hmm. And when we're vetting them, we tell them, like, have you read the rules? Or do you know what you need to do? Is there anything I can answer for you? Because everybody is responsible. And I'll always get, well, who should mop the floor? The adult that looks at it and realizes it's time to be mopped.
Mm-hmm. We've considered rotating responsibilities for cleanliness. What do you think about that?
So I've heard, and I know some owners have like huge success with that, where they just say on week 1, you're doing this, week 2, you're doing that. So I've heard some that have had huge success, and I know I have houses that it would work well. And then I've heard others that it's just an ongoing battle because, well, room 4
nobody
says,
wants to clean.
That's right. Room 4 says, I'm not doing that. I'm only here 8 hours a week. I work 2 jobs. I come in, I go out, and I'm not doing nothing. Okay. So I think it's a great theory for the houses that it would work for. You're always going to have somebody that it doesn't.
Mainly with like a house leader, I would say.
You have to get people to buy in to do that. For screening, you don't have to give all your secrets away, but what are some important, at least first steps for screening?
We stalk you.
Like social media. Yes.
Social media.
Use the Google.
Use Google. I mean, there's been people that have applied, and I put their name in the Google bar, like, oh, no, I'm sorry, you don't qualify today.
Kat, I'm going to share a story that I don't know if you saw it. So
I'd be light because I already know who you're going to talk about.
We got a booking for one of our properties, probably the one on closer to San Jose, in Jacksonville. And she did a really nice intro of herself. She's like, I'm really excited. I want to book this room. Da 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 da. Please feel free to follow me, and here's my social media.
Check my YouTube
channel. And we're like, oh, cool. Let's check this out. I don't even know how to describe it.
It was just charged, very strong opinion stuff, and very strong opinion. I don't care what opinion, but just any type of strong opinion in an atmosphere that's co-living just didn't seem right. So
yes,
she got the deny before you could deny.
Yeah,
and she meant well, but it's one of those things that sometimes, like, being so, dying hard in one specific place, like, it might just really bump heads with so many different people.
We get a little bit of that where it's the same thing. Like, they're really proud to share their experience with you. And again, I'm not knocking anybody for anything, but that's my thought is you're going to be in a kitchen at some point with 3 or 4 other members. Mm-hmm. And then I'm going to be over there playing babysitter. So, no, not today.
Yeah, different lifestyles, different, cleanliness preferences. Yes. And it's like, this is not a good fit. We don't need a super red forward personality type.
So if a room rate's 200 and they make 205, is that a deal breaker?
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Like,
I always get the questions like, if it's close, do you solely on that say no?
Some investors want to see members doing 2 times what the room cost is. Some investors are comfortable with, 3x, or some are just like, it's fine as long as they cover it.
Yeah.
What are you seeing?
So far, everyone I've worked with has been good accepting what the PadSplit policy is. The biggest thing I look to see is, do you already have an eviction? Mm-hmm. Or are you behind on in utility bills or your phone bill, things that I know you're going to need to use every day? Mm-hmm. What type of work? Is it solid work? Or are you a landscaper? Because if you're a landscaper, then I think you need to make
seasonal.
A little more because what's going to happen when that work dies down. So otherwise, I think for the most part, most of the owners are good with, 2 times. A few have asked about 2.5. But most of them are okay with that.
And you see it being successful.
I do. I see people behind every week, and it's always the same people. Mm. And I would say 75% of them, they either ride that $299.99 line, or they're asking for an extension every Tuesday. But you get familiar with who will pay it, and then those are the ones you work with.
How can investors combat that or mitigate it?
I was going to ask, is the $299 thing that bad? Because I've seen some people down the hill, and don't get me wrong, I hate to see the $299, but if they're paying it ultimately, and they're paying late fees, it's not good for them, and it gets scary when you start to see the numbers go up. Mm-hmm. But is that as bad as, at the end of the day, what I hear it to be?
I don't think so. I think every owner has one of those, one of those people that we really thought they were going to pay, and we were really surprised when they didn't. But for the most part, like I tell people, so let's assume your roommate's your rate is $150 a week. And somebody's at $299, but they've been paying late every week for 10 weeks.
And that's $25 every late fee.
So
add that up.
You're not actually out any money because now they've paid $300 in late fees. So even if their balance is $299, you know one of those weeks is for the week ahead, and their late fees have already covered too. Now, some of the people that, if they've been really good members, and they come to me, this is what's going on, this is why I'm running behind, then we'll work with them. And, okay, when you get caught up, then we can look and see if we can credit a late fee or help you really get back on your feet, as long as you do what you say you're going to do.
How often do you hear valid reasons on why someone's behind, and stories that you're like, okay, how many times will I hear that somebody is at the hospital? Or
I'm going to say it's a 70-30. 70% of the time is like, I hate to say this, but I actually had a member tell me last week that her mother passed away. And I said, I'm so sorry. I said, this is the fourth mother you've had pass away.
God.
It was. I had the notes. So I'm like,
No.
and she's an older lady. Okay, so it's, but I was like, I'm just really sorry because this is the fourth one.
She was a mom to me.
Yeah. And I'm like, so when are we going to pay the rent? Well,
Right.
I had to cover the funeral expenses. I said, Barbara, you don't drive and you didn't leave the house. So what did you do that with? And then she just got like, well, if that's how you're going to be about it, I'll just come over and pick it up. I'm like, I don't pick it up. Pay PadSplit. And she did.
She said pick it up.
Yeah. And so it just, they think that you don't listen to them, but then I've had members like you all had one that sent me a picture from the emergency room where they were in an accident because they were already running behind and trying to get caught up, and actually had the nurse call me, and she sent the picture. The nurse is on the phone. She's like, she wants me to tell you she'll send you the medical records. Will you please give her another 2 weeks?
Oh my God.
Like, so that member is one of those that, to me, she's like kind of a thorn in my side because I just watch for the notification that she's going into termination. But I know she's going to pay every single time. So when you start to develop that kind of a rapport with them, then you're like, how am I going to put you out? I know you're going to pay.
Right.
So.
Do you see people, a lot of what people fear going into this is, cool, the $299, that's a thing that happens at times, especially when you're already onboarded. But
it just feels like the members now know how to cheat the system.
They know they have to pay a certain minimum
right.
amount.
It's like, okay, I just pay $5 and I am in good standing.
But okay, they're late. And it shows that they're late, and it shows that they're about to be terminated. And now you're getting to, okay, this might be an eviction. How often out of the 1,000 units that you manage do you really see evictions actually go through? Mm-hmm. And then what are some good practices? What are some good practices? I mean, you don't have to get into full detail, but.
Okay, so out of all the units, I have had to go all the way through the court system with 3 of them.
That's a phenomenal number.
2 were in the same house. They were related, and they knew exactly what they were doing.
They're experts.
Yes.
They help each other.
Yeah. So typically, I'm really not the nicest person once you fall into that point.
No,
But you give them a warning though.
But I love
it.
So the process, I didn't pay, and I'm 2 weeks back to back over $300.
And you accept an extension.
Yeah. So if I accept an extension, and then whatever day you tell me you're going to pay, if it's Tuesday, then I want you to pay Tuesday, and I want you to pay during business hours on Tuesday. I realize Tuesday goes to 11:59, but I'm not waiting in front of the computer till 11:59 to see if you did the right thing. So you need to tell me when you're going to pay and be honest. Now, if you're honest with me, and even if you reach out to us and say, I was planning to pay $100, but my check was a little short, I have $88. Okay, that's fair. If you ignore me, then you wake up to me at your house the next morning, because then I will be there at 7:30 the next morning to see why you didn't pay. Mm-hmm. And then if we have to go back 5 times a day, and my guys will go at different times, I will give them a list of what rooms you need to talk to. Mm. And they'll pop in all day long. And we just, if I can't get you that way, then I threaten eviction, and I will give you a 3-day notice. Mm-hmm. And then once I have the 3-day notice, because of the way the the business days and whatnot, it usually is closer to 5 or 6 days before you can go back to the courthouse. So over the next course of those next 5 to 6 days, if I really can't push you out, the last day I will offer cash for keys. Because at the end of the day, if I give you $250 and you leave now,
It's better than paying paperwork.
it's
Absolutely.
better than paying the cost of
Absolutely.
the eviction.
It's way less of a headache.
Yeah.
Which PadSplit tool do you like for potential removal of members in the house? Is it the notice to vacate? Is it the termination? Because some people really go straight to, hey, terminate,
Or
terminate, terminate.
transfer.
Or do you go customer service to transfer?
Customer service maybe 35% of the time. If it's one that we're just butting heads, and no matter what I say to you, we're not going to get any place, I'm going to call customer service. For the most part, I very rarely will terminate you. If I terminate you, you've really done something bad.
And I would say, Kat, on the downside, and it's just personal opinion, I think that the downside of termination is like, now this person is still in your home.
Yes.
Now you
There's no
really
leverage.
made it into an eviction, right? Like you pushed that into an eviction now, and now the conversation shifts completely.
Absolutely. I had one this morning to share, like on the way here I was handling it. So, PadSplit now is allowing, couples or even children.
Mm-hmm.
So I have one that was living with her child in a house. The child was slightly disruptive. He has some disabilities, so he wasn't going out of his way to be difficult. She's a decent member. She cleans. She pays her rent. So I guess I want to say she's a good member. She just at first wasn't honest about the child because she was trying to avoid homelessness. So, but I need to get her out of the house that she's in. So I reached out to her and I said, listen, I got to help you find another house. Like we've talked about this, and in that house, 3 of the members actually are stay-at-home workers. So, it's just too much conflict going on. So found her another house, and it was super easy. She was like, well, how can you help me? This is what I can do. I said, I don't want to give you a notice to vacate if you can find something. Like, you have to be honest about the child, but I don't want to give you a notice if not necessary. Once we had an honest communication, 20 minutes later, I see that she's put in a booking request. She's back on the phone. Can you help me with this one? Oh, yeah, because this house is huge. This room is all off by itself with an exterior door. So she picked phenomenally.
Oh, perfect.
So it was just communicating. And that's something that PadSplit, I think, is putting more on the investor and the host. But while it's a little more work to do, it's better off because we see these houses. We know what we're dealing with.
Right.
So
I love that.
yeah. I will never terminate while they're in the house. Most times before I notice to vacate, we're having that, I don't think you're a good fit here.
Right. So, like,
Can I help you?
let's move,
Yeah.
transfer you to a different home for now.
And I think I'm going to say 50% of the time I transfer someone that maybe they had problems with another member.
Yeah.
It's just a personality glitch. So part of it might be a personality glitch, and some of them might just, like, I don't want people to be scared, but when I tell them, listen, if I move you to another house and you have the exact same problem, and it's not them, it's you, and then you're going to go. But if I move you and you have no issues, then I owe you an apology, and I'll be watching this one. And at least half the time, moving them is a whole game changer.
Right. I like that.
So we have a few questions that we definitely want to ask.
Okay.
It's meant to be a little
A
faster.
little rapid fire.
Yep.
So, top of your
And
head.
We'll alternate between. So I'll start
Let's
off
do
with the
these.
first one. And these are
Okay.
questions submitted by some of our audience members that, knew that we had property management coming on.
Okay.
So what's the most important factor in keeping a PadSplit property fully occupied?
Amenities.
How do you handle tenant disputes or complaints in a shared housing setup?
It depends on the extent of it. If it's quick and easy, I can send a message, or if we have to have a house meeting.
What could be quick and easy?
Somebody left their shoes, their towels in the bathroom.
Yeah.
Somebody's clothes are still in the dryer.
Perfect.
What are the top maintenance issues you encounter with PadSplit properties, and how do you manage them?
The Wi-Fi is out. One of the appliances is not properly functioning. and the HVAC is not working.
HVAC.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you mentioned, we're in Florida.
Yeah.
I know that you briefly mentioned that you do a little bit of an extra screening. How do you do that? And what are you looking for?
I want to hear their story, because that's the biggest thing is if people are willing to talk and tell you what brought them here and why, you get a better sense of who they are. If they are very cold and don't want to discuss it, that tells me that you might not get along very well with someone and you're passing in the kitchen.
And so it's a phone call.
Yes.
Cool. What's the best way to manage utilities in a PadSplit property?
So it's a catch-22. I personally, Miss K and Sons does not manage anybody's utilities. Two Keys does. But the problem with when the owners are managing them is when there's a problem, as the property manager, we're not able to figure out what's going on.
Right.
So thermostat, how do you manage thermostat?
They need to be smart and locked. I like smart thermostats that go on an app. We can control them from anywhere.
What comfortable temperature? For Florida.
I do between 71 and 74.
Okay.
For both the heat and air.
Okay. What has been the most effective way to improve tenant retention in a PadSplit?
Hearing them and validating their concerns.
Yeah. I love that. It's humanity.
I do love that. It's customer service. It's better to retain than to find someone new.
Absolutely.
And it can be a simple fix.
Have you noticed any key features in rooms that produce higher occupancy and member satisfaction?
Mini fridges.
Really?
Yeah, mini fridges, bedding.
Are they dirty? Like, do you find them to end up being dirty, though? I like mini fridges. Not for every room, but...
I'm 50-50 about mini fridges.
In the last year, so let's say I've encountered 100 of them, I've thrown away 2.
Okay.
Good
okay, that's
ratio.
pretty good. Okay, and I always say, please, double fridge. Double door fridge is what I meant to say. Not the one with the single one, because usually the freezer freezes the entire thing, and now you got to throw it away and buy a new one. How do you manage and communicate house rules effectively to minimize conflict with different personalities?
We start that on the vetting call, making sure that they know what the rules are. And then a lot of times we'll just send reminder messages to a house if we think that they need to be reminded.
Mm-hmm.
What's one common mistake new hosts make when setting up their first PadSplit?
Not having an honest understanding of the process.
Good answer.
How can we fix that or improve that?
Communication.
Okay.
I think that, there's the demographics of how many days it takes and how long they're going to stay. But the reality is that your first one opening to a lot of new members, it's like candy. Oh, look. But maybe it's not the area. There's a bunch of reasons, but I just say communication of what to expect.
Unbiasedly, is it your job or is it the PadSplit person that educated's job? There's no wrong answer.
50-50. Well, I tell them what to expect. I think that there's a lot of PadSplit advisors that they're just not. I don't think they're not giving them the information. I don't think they think about it.
Okay. Fair.
That's fair. Kat, can you, I still feel like I have so many questions for Kat.
Ask away.
Listen, our audience loves to hear, I don't know why. I know why, because we're the way that humans are made. But they're always looking for, tell me the worst story. Because they expect serial killers, I don't know, murder people. I don't know what they're expecting.
But it's crazy because, we can all give a crazy story. And my opinion is this on the whole thing. Mm-hmm. We can all give one crazy story about something. Mm-hmm. And is that the most common thing? And will that deter you from moving forward? And do you bump into that in any other type of investment strategy? So I could tell you crazy stuff about our houses.
Right.
But it
can also happen in short term and long term.
That's not the common thing. So I almost don't want to get into asking hey, what's the worst thing that happened in a PadSplit? But what's the most common bad thing that happens in a PadSplit would probably be a better question. Fight happens. Do people really sit and fight in the house?
What's the most common conflict?
More of just a screaming, picture a high school. I call you out and I'll meet you out back. That type of bickering. Okay. That's the most common. And I probably have 4 of those a week at least, if not more.
Because he looked at me weird.
Yes, I went in the kitchen and I would just want to cook my food, and he won't move. He's standing there. Hey, is he doing anything? Standing there. Has he said anything to you? No, because he's standing there. And it's that type of where it has turned into a screaming match amongst members because you're standing there. Or I'm using the kitchen now you shouldn't be using. Or I want to use the laundry room and why are you using it? So it's that. And like, I don't know, I do very well with those. For me, it's like sibling rivalry, so it's just like, okay, I need y'all to stop. Mm-hmm. What are we really fighting about? So that's probably the most common. Mm-hmm. And parking spots. I came home from work and that person was in my spot.
It's like we don't have designated parking
I didn't
spaces.
put your name on that spot. So what do you, well, I've been parking in that spot for 3 weeks. Well, today you got a new spot. I mean, so that those
first
type
come,
of,
first served, yeah.
Yes, and so I start nice. Well, I match energy is what I do. If you come at me like, Freddy Krueger, I'm coming back the same way.
Jason is coming.
Yeah. If you come at me like, I'm unhappy about something, this is what happened, and you seem reasonable, then I'll do everything I can to accommodate.
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Okay, give us some really nice stories now.
Let me say.
I think you told us one a little bit earlier.
I had a few good ones. I mean, we really, gosh, I've had a lot of them. So, unfortunately, you want to hear the worst thing is having a member pass away in our house.
Yeah.
But not, I'm very thankful. I'm going to knock on everything I find when I leave here. None of them have been harmful. None of them have been, where you say people think serial killers. We have a lot of members that sometimes are there a really long time, and we have elderly members. Mm-hmm. And so that might be one of the hardest things we deal with. Because if you want to fight and you want to do all that, I've raised teenagers, I got this. But when you have a member pass away, like it really touches you in a certain way. So even if it's not in the house, you meet the members and become social with them or their family, and then you get that news and you're like, oh my gosh, so that's the hardest thing I think we deal with.
Right.
I think weirdly enough, the one thing you just mentioned, the part about the family, is a thing that I don't have a grasp on. I've heard it from some hosts that are very operational and manage their properties, and they'll say, hey, there's a member in the house and this member might have some challenges, but they're in contact with the family member. And I don't think that's something that is openly spoken about or really said, that you might actually interact not only with members, but with family members and understand the family.
Yeah, so we see a lot of that for a few different ways. Maybe you're a little bit older and you're still really capable of living on your own.
Absolutely.
But you probably shouldn't live in a whole house by yourself.
Correct.
So you're still good at everything. So we get you a nice PadSplit and the family comes and checks on you. You're not all alone. So if nobody sees or hears from you, there's someone to call. If you just need help getting something off the shelf, you've got that camaraderie between the members. Mm-hmm. So we see a lot of that. I have had people that maybe they face some mental challenges, but they're good people. And they're trying to learn to live on their own. Mm-hmm. So I really appreciate it actually when members' families are honest. And I've had them tell, my son we had a high functioning autistic young man that certain things really set him off. But when I say set him off, I mean, he went in his room and he would just be very frustrated.
Right.
Nicest young man in the world, took care of everything. But knowing this, like when they booked the room, the mother reached out and said, I would like to speak with someone. I'd like you to know what's going on. If you have a problem, call me. Mm-hmm. And never, like one of the best members I've ever had. And he ended up after like 9 months, he left to go. He actually got accepted to a school program he was trying to get into.
Nice.
But nicest, cleanest, follow the rules. So we have quite a few, maybe 15% that there's family or friend involved that we communicate with.
Love that.
We usually ask to almost cap off or head into capping off host what motivates them in their journey. But I do want to ask what motivates you to continue on in yours, because it's not an easy thing to operationally manage PadSplits.
Personalities.
It's a cute thing to say, hey, I'm an investor. But that's almost just the money half of it. Sometimes it's like, it's nice to have a dog, but do you take care of the dog? So what motivates you to continue to do your job?
Honestly, the good ones, because I'll tell you that there's been, in the last 3 months, there's been several times when I'm like, I can't do this anymore. Like I'm tired.
Right.
And it's the mental tired from trying to make everybody happy all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I will share a real quick story with you is one of my hosts, when his members reach 1 year anniversary, they get a free week's rent.
Nice.
So we had one a couple of weeks ago, and it was one of those weeks when for like 25 cents, I'd have been like, I'm retired. And I called this member, and he called me back. He said, sorry, Miss Cat, I was at work. I just realized I missed your call. Is everything okay? And I said, well, I'm calling to congratulate you. You know, you've been here a year now. And he says, oh, are you going to raise my rent? And I said, actually, quite the contrary. I says, the owner would like me to extend a week's free rent to you. And he was like, what? Did I hear that right? And I was like, Miss Cat, you're going to have me crying over here. Like, are you serious? He says, this week not having to pay, that gives me a chance to get back on my feet. And like, he called me 3 more times that night and then sent a message in the portal.
Aww.
That was amazing how we touched him. And that's my motivation, because when I have those moments where I'm done and I do one of those, or I deal with a member that truly appreciates something, that reminds me, because we're all humans and we all need help sometime.
Let's do good and do well.
Yeah.
What does the future hold for Miss K and Sons?
Gosh, I don't know. The sky's unlimited, I guess.
Yes.
Because I never thought I would be here. Like,
Yeah.
you know, you said when you were setting yours up, and I was like, what do they mean they want us to hang the pictures? And like, we don't do that, right? Like, we manage the people. And now I'm like, oh yeah, we're happy to, like, just buy the house. I'll
Set
deal
up
with the
locks.
contractor.
It's okay.
I'll let you know when we're finished, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope another 10 good years, at least.
Beautiful.
I'm loving what I'm doing. I'm loving the changes. It's a struggle right now with all the changes, but we're going to accommodate and keep going. And affordable, clean, safe living is something that's always going to be needed. So I don't see that going anyplace.
Are you expanding to other markets more, or are you looking to just fortify what you have?
That's still a little on the fence. We would like to expand a little bit. We would like to go to some other markets. I wish I could train other people. I think that's what I would love to teach other people, how to do what we're doing.
Right. You'll get there.
Yep.
We know you will. Kat, how can someone reach you for your services? By the way, we didn't ask you. You cover mainly all of Florida, right?
So we do. We're looking.
I don't say that, girl. Do you do Miami?
We do not. That's the new one. Okay, but I do understand that for Miami, Two Keys is looking for a crew there.
Okay.
So, you know, the Two Keys advantage is if you're in Florida and you went with Two Keys, you get the services that I don't offer, but you still get Miss Cat. So, you know, it's a win-win. But they have more resources to help build bigger teams in certain areas. We are looking to possibly start expanding in Orlando. You know, we've got just a few now, but this really is a hop, skip, and a jump. So, you know what I'm saying? If you're coming from Jacksonville to Orlando, definitely. Tampa, we have a few, but I just don't have a solid enough foundation yet there.
Right. Okay.
So how do
we reach you?
So it would be my phone number, 256-284-9069. My email, katjc73@gmail.com. And we have a webpage, but I'll be honest and tell you I don't monitor it like I should. So better to call, text, email. We answer them all.
Fantastic.
We'll definitely add the information at the bottom if we're not ready with pen and paper. All her info is on the bio. And guys, I cannot emphasize this enough. With your support, with your likes, with your sharing, with your commentary, you just continue to support us. And that costs you $0. But it does help us a lot because your feedback just means everything. So we can continue to bring guests that are willing to share the information, their expertise that only ultimately benefits you. So help us help you.
And if you want to work with us directly, don't be shy. There's a button down the bottom where you can go ahead and do a 30-minute consultation. It'll randomly go to either Oriana or myself, and we would guide you through the PadSplit process of education and resources throughout the process. So it's a pleasure to have you on, watch our show, and we're happy to continue to grow and educate you guys some more. So thank you guys for watching.
And Kat, thank you for being here and sharing.
Thank you for having me.
Your time with us.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for tuning into the Co-Living with PadSplit podcast hosted by Ray and Oriana Nunez. For more exclusive content and community updates, join our Facebook group and follow us on all social media platforms. Stay tuned for more episodes.
But we touched some good important pieces. I think cleanliness is always a big thing.
I have to stop and think when I say things because what I do
girl.
is I walk into a house and I go, "Are you lost your mind?
Motherfuckers.
Why am I here? Because you can't get along." And we've like right here lately. I've had a few of those where I swear Thursday nights are possessed. Like the whole group, we go to Golden Corral or Cece's. We rotate every week.
Yeah.
So if you work for me, we're going to eat Thursday night. Every freaking Thursday night, we're going to
The
somebody's
phone is
house
blowing up.
afterwards. And so, like I've really, I had one the other day, she was like, "I am reporting you straight to PadSplit." I says, "Wait a minute, I don't want you to waste time. Let me email it while I'm here." Because some of them have just been, entitled. We're seeing more entitled people.
100%.
But, you have to dial that down because you'll give the investors a nervous breakdown.
That will go with the question on, there's moments in doing this where I'm like, it's not that we're lying or anything like that. It's just that we want you to use property management. Because at this point, we gotten to a point where maybe in the beginning, you could do it yourself. But, the reality is that this is not for the faint of heart.
Mm-hmm.
Kat,
And
you're a bulldog, and that's what I love.
hit that record button so we could do the quick intro. I want to do the Miss K's and Miss Kane's son.
Yeah,
or do you want to shoot that?
Because I feel like you even said she wished her Patsy, but it's really 2 keys. So I agree.
Do you want to do it? Just so we have a different look. I don't know if you said you have to memorize.
I do. Guys, we're so excited about this episode. Welcome to our podcast.
Redo that again. What is that?
It was fine. It was
No, redo it. It was cute though. I like it.
But okay. Welcome to this awesome episode. I am excited to present you Ms. Kathleen Crawford. Her resume is just absolutely incredible, and I have to read it because it's pretty extensive. But she started Miss K & Sons 10 years ago. She's going to share her story, how she started and where she's at today. She's currently the founder and CEO of Miss K. She's been managing PadSplit for over 4 years. Kat has over 1,000 units that she manages. That is no easy task to do. She does this with her family members, her daughter, her sons, her
adopted sons.
Yes. Over 1,000 units, that just blows my mind. You're not going to want to miss this episode. She has a lot of good things to share with you guys. She also is an asset manager for 2 Keys, which is a sister company for PadSplit. So she comes with tons of knowledge, so much experience. She's seen a little bit of everything, from good and bad. Listen, stay here, and share the love, subscribe, like all those things. You already know what to do, guys. Thank you for being here. Enjoy the episode.